This was my most played song on Spotify Wrapped last year by a long shot.
My most played song was ADD by 10 Foot Pole.
Yeah.
But in a similar vein, I was super, super excited to see them live for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Because this is a band from the 90s. And I went to see them here in London, but there were only 30 people there, which
rough.
is an absolute travesty because they were great. You know, they played all these songs that I'd listened to for so long, and it was so exciting to see them live. But yeah, real bummer that there weren't more people there.
That is a drag. There were a lot of people at the Boy Genius show in London. And people kept dropping like flies. That was the thing I remember. Like, heaps of people get fainting. Like, the person next to us, I think just the heat but they kept having to stop the show, being like, we got another one down.
It's the drugs, man. Like, that's one of the big differences between New Zealand and here.
Yeah, but who's taking like fucking ecstasy to see a Boy Genius concert?
Londoners.
Yeah.
Like, that was a real steep learning curve for me when I first got here. It was like they'd like you'd have a house party and you think, okay, everyone's going to have a couple of beers, and people would be doing drugs at a house party where it's like you're just sitting around talking.
People do drugs at strange contexts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they sink piss like nothing else. God forbid they feel a sober emotion.
They can't.
They can't. It's like the only way they can feel anything is by being totally inebriated.
Yeah. I found that heaps, just like going back to my dating life in this country, because I don't drink a lot. And I don't want to be hanging out with people who are pissed, but also like they can't cope with having a normal conversation on a date without being pissed. And it's like, we just don't meet in the middle, you know? So I've had lots of dates fail just because I wasn't drinking and had that complaint like in my face. Like, this isn't going to happen if we're not drinking. It's like,
so girls telling you that they need to be drunk to...
It's just so lame. It's so lame. But it's like, I remember when I first got to this country, I wasn't drinking at all. And I went out with some friends and they're all calling rounds. And I said right from the outset, I'm not drinking. I'm having no part of this. I'm not drinking. And we were at a, all you can eat Chinese buffet restaurant. And I ended up with 6 pints in front of me. They just kept buying pints. They couldn't understand that I didn't want to drink, or that I wasn't going to, or that me saying that I wasn't going to equated to not drinking. And like, what am I supposed to do? Like, with 6 pints, I think they still thought I was going to drink those 6 pints and that this was all some sort of a elaborate ruse.
You're going to wait till the last 20 minutes of the hangout and then you're going to sink all of them.
Yeah, I was the comedian, right? Yeah. And I'm playing this elaborate joke on everybody and I'm going to drink all these beers.
Yeah.
I've found that really, really tough. One of the things I've missed about New Zealand is sort of the late night cafe culture.
Yeah.
Like, you can just go to a cafe at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and you can get something to eat and you can have a drink that
like
isn't
Enigma.
beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here it's just the pub.
Yeah, and the pubs close at like 11:30.
Yeah, but you can only go to the pub.
Yeah.
It's like that's the answer to everything is going to the pub. I would quite like to go to a cafe and not just drink pints.
Yeah.
But it's not how it works here.
Yeah, it is odd because you'd think something like a city as big as this would sort of cater to everything, but it doesn't at all, really. It's just pub. To be fair, quite like pub. Pub's quite nice.
I like the pub. I like that you can go to a pub and that there's a real familiarity there and there's a warmness to them. And there's a vibrancy as well when you go in there. There's always an energy to the room. I love all of that. And I love having a Sunday roast and things like that in a pub too. I love all of that. What I don't love is that I don't have a choice. It's that or nothing. You go there or don't. Like, those are your options.
That's your third space. Yeah.
But I'm not here to rag on England. You're just arriving.
I've actually, it's funny because like my buddy sort of had to leave and he hated it here, and like I do hear a lot of people, especially from New Zealand, being like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is sort of horrible. And there are really tough elements of it. I have been robbed 3 times, for example. But I think potentially uniquely among everyone that I know who's moved here have had a wonderful time, and I kind of feel bad. Like, I got a flat really easily and it's a beautiful flat and I really like my flatmates. I got a really good job. I got a 9K pay rise today. like I've just sort of been like dating. I've found really fun. Like, I've been, and you met a guy that I was dating. He's great. I've been absurdly lucky other than, getting robbed 3 times. But I think it's kind of funny how like the last year of my life worked out like that, because the first 6 months of my life was like break up, and then I had to like quit my job, and I was like moving my entire life just completely alone. There was like one time where I was like, I think the worst week of my life. I was like going to my best friend's wedding, and she was the friend growing up who was like kind of always did better at me at everything, was always sort of the hot one. And I was like, of course I'm going to your wedding and giving a speech and everything. Like 2 weeks after I broke up with my ex of 9 years, I'm like, of course this would be happening. And then at that wedding, she gave me COVID. And then I had to do COVID alone. And because the Ministry of Health knew that I was alone, because in New Zealand, the government cares about its people, they had to basically call me up every day and be like, still alone with COVID? And I'd be like, yep, still alone with COVID. And it was just horrendous. And I just think back to then and like how low I was, and like the height of London, having a great time, really sort of coming into my element, doing comedy for the first time in years and years. And I'm like, what a weird year that I've had. Very divided. So London is actually, despite all the things that's wrong with it, and I don't think it's like my forever home, but like it's been really good.
There's lots of stuff here for us.
Yeah.
There's museums, and there's galleries, and there's art, and there's music, and there's all of these things that as creative people, we need to feed our soul.
Yeah.
And you can get that here.
Yeah.
And then there's the rough as guts asshole side of London, which is that it's a big, tough city.
And no one gives a shit about you.
Well, it's interesting because I've been here for 7 years. I've been through this sort of ringer. So I found the first 6 months very hard. And then I actually got some work, and I started to turn things around. And then within 18 months, I was flying, and I had some great work. I was earning good money. I was meeting interesting people, and it was all sort of happening. I was starting to get that buzz going. And then, I don't know, after 7 years, I'm over the unfriendliness of it all. And I get so much out of seeing friends like you in this place. It brings such joy for me because it lifts me up and it reminds me that people can be like you and be loving and caring and interesting and interested in you. And just, it's so refreshing when your day-to-day doesn't include that. Yeah.
Londoners are people told me when I moved here, they're like, you will not make friends with people from London or British people generally, unless they're from the north or like Essex. And I found that on the whole to be mostly true. Yeah. There's a sort of hostility sort of permeating everything here.
Yeah, and I kind of get it because they build up this wall of distrust.
Yeah.
Because people have screwed them over so many times. So they put that wall up, and we come in sort of naive Kiwis, heart on our sleeve, like, genuinely willing to help and genuinely willing to listen and all those sorts of things. And they see it as insincere. They see it as insincere. Which is so weird. And I didn't get it for ages. I just didn't understand why they were so distrusting of me. But that's why. Because they don't think it's real.
God. those poor souls.
It's super weird. And it's one of those things you can only learn by living in a place.
Yeah, true.
You can't understand it until you've been there and lived it. And so, you just keep on keeping on and you do the things you do and you enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things that I'm going to miss about this place. And one of those things is live music. It's going to be a huge one for me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
It's been really good. Just like getting to see all these artists that I love. Live, who just, especially like the smaller ones who would just never come to New Zealand because it just wouldn't be worth it for them.
Yeah, even from America, right?
Yeah.
Small artists from America will come and perform in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's just the best.
It's so good. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Hey man, I've done my time. I've had so many adventures.
Yeah.
I have seen so many artists that will drive my best friends at home to distraction.
Yeah.
And, but sometimes you just need something else in your life. And I would like a hug. I'd like someone to hug me.
please.
It's been so many years without actual genuine affection. I just need that. So I will go to a place where I can get it.
Fair enough.
But what is your last song?
Bit of a DJ vibe change.
DJ
situation.
Tampon?
No. We've had DJ Tampon. Now it's DJ vibe change. The last song is Picture of My Dress by Mountain Goats. And I guess the through line is that it's kind of a breakup song, but it's sort of, it's quite a sort of story that John Danielle, I guess, wrote. And so it's kind of slightly more detached. But I just think it's a really nice song about sort of moving on from sort of a difficult time, I guess.
Do you have a nugget of advice to share with the world?
I feel ill-equipped to give any advice. I think people should trust themselves a bit more, that things might actually work out if you try.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
Thanks heaps for being on the show.
It's been great.
And sharing your time with me for a third time.
Third time's the charm.